Straight to my next guest. We've been talking about the asylum seeker scandal, this migrant crisis, which is, and it's very much is a scandal at the moment, because yesterday a report by the House of Commons Select Committee on Home Affairs revealed the astonishing scale of the amount of money being wasted by suckers at the Home Office who've had rings run round them by private contractors. These people who work at the Home Office, they've never worked in the private sector, public money, they've got no financial imperative, they don't understand things like that. And these private contractors who organise putting our asylum seekers in expensive hotels, they are making a fortune, conning civil servants into giving them billions and billions of pounds they don't need to be given. Let's talk to Sun columnist. He's on page 10 today under the headline "Asylum Hotel Scandal Isn't Just About Failure to Tackle Migration, It's About Lack of Care with Our Cash." Warm welcome to Ross Clark. Hi, Ross.
Good morning. Hi.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, putting up asylum seekers in four-star hotels was all set to cost us, we taxpayers, long-suffering taxpayers, over the next 10 years, £4.5 billion. Enough in itself. But it turns out that these private contractors, they keep going back to the Home Office. Oh, I don't understand, we've got to fix the fences, we've got to trim the hedges, we've got to get more, do up the kitchens and all that. So this £4.5 billion, which we were going to have to be paying, has now gone up to £15.3 billion. And the Select Committee on Home Affairs, the Commons Select Committee, has produced this report. She said basically it's these stupid civil servants in the Home Office, who couldn't run a bath. They've been conned by these private contractors into giving over far more of our money, taxpayers' money, than they have to. As you say, it's about a lack of care with our cash, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got echoes of the private finance initiative that was Tony Blair's government's great sort of means of trying to fund schools and hospitals, if you remember that. And the government did these sort of deals with commercial operators who were, very clever in inserting extra clauses in. I think there was one case where a hospital was the civil servants had negotiated it down to the price of the toast which they were going to serve for breakfast for patients, but they'd forgotten the marmalade. So then, of course, the private company was able to charge a fortune for the marmalade on top. It was that silly. I mean, when civil servants sort of try and do these contracts, they end up like sort of confused octogenarians being relieved of their life savings by cold calling scammers. They just seem to sort of fold over and sort of, sign there, yeah, sure we do. And well, it goes beyond the migrant hotel scandal, which you said there. There's all kinds of areas of public spending where it's just got completely out of control. And in a few weeks' time, Rachel Reeves is going to stand up in the Commons and force us all to pay extra taxes, possibly raising income tax, the basic rate of income tax for first time since the 1970s. No, we can't possibly have any cuts, she'll say. We've got to preserve vital public services. But at the same time, you've got all this waste going on. And, this migrant hotel scandal is going to make it very, very much harder for her to sort of sell a tough budget of tax rises to us when we know how our money is being frittered away.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Ross, because I was doing this story last week and it's worth repeating. She's going to come to us next month in November, with the budget from hell. So we don't understand, she'll be talking about black holes here and black holes there. She won't be talking about these, of course, will be the £20 billion black hole left by the Tories. She won't be talking about the £40 billion black hole that the Office of Budget Responsibility say that she has caused, that Labour have caused. She won't be referring to that. But anyway, she's going to come to say, oh, it's a crisis, you know, public spending and the vital public services. I need your taxes. I need to break all my promises. I'm going to tax you more. Sorry about that. But you understand, these are vital items of expenditure by a decent government trying to do the right thing. Well, one of the things we're going to, you know, we could point the finger at so many things, but I discovered last week, I'm sure you saw it as well, that one of the things that we taxpayers, we long-suffering taxpayers, are going to be funding with these vital tax rises is £111 million to Pakistan so it can pay for condoms, a family planning programme in Pakistan, £111 million. And we could go on. Now, when you say to people, I've got to put the taxes up, and then they discover that they're putting the taxes up so that people in Pakistan can plan their families, we're going to go, hang on a second, I've got a better idea. Why don't you not put our taxes up and not give Pakistan £111 million for condoms? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, well, I mean, that's an international aid budget. Well, that's a farce which goes back many years when David Cameron wanted to set a target of spending 0.7% of GDP on international aid. And when you define it as an achievement simply to spend money, spend a certain amount of money, you guarantee waste, because what's the easiest way of spending money? To waste it. And we see this over and over again. I mean, my favourite aid project, and this has taken place in several countries. I think Moldova was one of them, and others as well. We had actually British government advisors going around advising foreign governments of how to balance their budgets. And then you look at
the blind leading the blind, that sort of springs to mind.
Yeah. And I mean, it's easy to remember, talking about black holes, Rachel Reeves's infamous £22 billion black hole, which she blamed upon the Tories. I mean, you've got to remember, £9 billion of that black hole was the cost of public sector pay rises, which Rachel Reeves herself had just waved through, had absolutely nothing to do with the Tories. And of course, the government's blaming the Conservatives for these migrant hotel contracts, and fair enough, they were written under Conservative rules. But I mean, look at Labour's record during that time. Whenever the government tried to save a bit of money by taking the migrants out of hotels and putting them in, say, the Bibby Stockholm barge, that famous barge that was moored in Portland Harbour, the Labour Party sort of screamed outrage. It was, terrible that you can't put, asylum seekers in boats. That's, against human rights and so on, even though that barge had been lived in quite happily by generations of oil workers. Who's nobody complained that their human rights were being abused.
Are you a fan? I don't know if you're a pop fan, Ross. I'm sure you are. Are you a fan of the Enza Girls?
I've never heard of the Enza Girls.
Well, I'll tell you who the Enza Girls are. The Enza Girls are Ethiopia's, or were Ethiopia's answer to the Spice Girls, who we, Britain, under the international aid budget, we sent the Enza Girls £16 million to develop their pop career, to become Ethiopia's answer to the Spice Girls. We sent a load of money to Tanzania to teach them how to juggle and dance. The list goes on. My favourite was sending China money to teach the peasants how to grow rice. You'd have thought they might have already known that, and so on and so forth. But to go back to the migrant crisis, the asylum seeker hotel crisis, what you're pointing out in your excellent article on page 10 of The Sun today is just a few basic, economics on the part of some civil servants might save us not small fortunes, large fortunes. So, for example, the 110 or so asylum seekers staying at the Bell Hotel, the notorious Bell Hotel in Epping. They're costing us, like all asylum seekers do, £145 a night each. You said you've been onto Airbnb in the Epping area. And discovered many a place for bed and breakfast around Epping for £50 a night. These are the basic kind of economic investigations that our civil servants just don't carry out.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, if you're putting up a large number of people for a large period of time, you expect a discount on the normal cost of accommodation. It should be far cheaper than what it costs for you and I to book a hotel for the odd night. But instead, they're paying far more, 146 quid a night, 145 quid a night. I mean, this extraordinary sum to be paying night after night for large numbers of migrants. It should be a fraction of that. And yet they just don't seem to have the negotiating skills to beat the sort of private operators down. And the most absurd thing is that it turns out that some of these hotels have been housing migrants, have actually sort of owned by companies linked to China.
Of course.
Yet more money we're shoveling in the direction of China courtesy of the UK taxpayer.
Oh, God. I mean, and don't get either of us starting on the amount of money we're wasting on crazy Ed Miliband's net zero insanity. Ross, a really good piece on the page turn of The Sun today, and very good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. Ross Clark there, columnist, also writes for The Spectator, The Mail, you name it, he writes for them. Great guy.